3, 2, 1. Music, mic, cue.
IP configuration.
For the Telos Alliance TV Solutions Group, I'm Shane Tovin, one of your friendly and helpful applications engineers. The humble IP address has been around for a long time, since the early days of computer networking between room-sized machines at government and educational institutions. Fast forward almost half a century, and now every piece of technology from your watch to your refrigerator to your toaster seems to have an IP address. Okay, so maybe not your toaster yet. The broadcast world is no exception. Nearly every piece of equipment that goes into a rack, including our Aero processor, has an Ethernet port and an IP address for control. Most equipment has some sort of front panel interface for configuring this critical piece of information, but in some cases, such as with our Aero 100, there is no front panel interface, only a status display. So how do we assign an IP address with no front panel controls? Good question. Many networks implement a protocol known as DHCP, or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, to assign IP information to systems based on predefined rules. Even the most simple home routers contain a DHCP server. This small but critical function ensures that users and network administrators don't have to manually enter IP addresses into each system on a network, and makes it easier to avoid accidentally assigning the same IP address to multiple systems. So what if a network doesn't have a DHCP server or requires a specific IP addressing scheme? How can you configure your device with no front panel and no DHCP server on the network? At some point, Microsoft and Apple helpfully reserved a large block of IP addresses beginning with 169.254 for private network addressing. These so-called link local IP addresses often appear when a system is configured for DHCP but does not receive a response from a DHCP server. So why is this useful? It allows systems to communicate on a network locally even if they did not have a deliberately assigned IP address. This generally is not considered a good thing, but can be helpful for initial configuration of a device directly attached to a PC, which is exactly what we'll do with our Aero 100. We can see here that our PC has given itself an IP address in this self-assigned block since it's directly connected to the Aero 100. Both the PC and the Aero 100 have DHCP enabled. Let's set up a connection to this Aero 100 on this self-assigned IP address and give it a real IP address instead. Enter the IP address displayed on the front panel of the Aero 100 in the IP field of NF Remote. Enter the default password of 1234 and click Connect. You should now be connected to the Aero 100. In NF Remote, click on System, Network Access, IP Configuration. Use DHCP should be checked by default, but in many cases you'll want to uncheck it to assign a static IP configuration. Consult your network administrator if you're not sure what IP configuration to use. Both PC and Aero will need to be on networks that can see each other. You'll lose connectivity to your Aero 100 once you apply the settings and will want to reconnect both the PC and the Aero back to your network with the new IP information. You won't be able to reconnect if either the Aero or your PC don't have the correct IP configuration. The most common error we see here is a space somewhere in the IP address fields. NF Remote won't alert you if you enter an invalid value, it just won't accept it. There are three possible conditions for the IP addresses on the Aero 100 front panel: either a valid IP address, static or DHCP, a self-assigned IP address, or a loopback IP address of 127.0.0.1. If the front panel shows a self-assigned IP on a network with a DHCP server, you might have some sort of connectivity problem that needs further investigation. If you're seeing the loopback IP address, double-check your cabling between the Aero 100 and the network switch, including any Ethernet patches. That's all for now. If you need a hand getting connected to your linear acoustic products, connect with us via phone, email, or at our website. I'm Shane Tovin for the Telos Alliance TV Solutions Group. We're always here to help.
Minnetonka Audio and Linear Acoustic are the TV Solutions Group of the Telos Alliance. You can reach Linear Acoustic support by phone at 717-735-3611 or by email at support@linearacoustic.com.